Okay, we're into our first panel of the day. I may be a little biased, but I've been, like lots of people here, to many conferences. A lot of people have been to Autodesk University, the Procore, all these things. And I would say the panelists that we have today is as good a quality as you're going to see at any of those fancy events, right? It's pretty amazing. So we're fortunate today to have our moderator come from Helina from Autodesk. So come on up. We're going to learn a little bit about Autodesk solutions, and then we're going to jump right into the panel. So without further ado, Helina.
Didn't realize how tall that was. Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? So yeah, my name is Helina Gebru. I'm here from Autodesk. I am a technical solutions executive there, very lengthy, it's really not that important. Essentially, I just support our customers with evaluations of the products that we have. I do demonstrations, and I mainly focus on the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So I'm very excited for our panelists today, but I'm going to talk really quickly about what we've got within the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Anybody here leverage any of these tools that you see here? Nice. Oh, that makes me so happy. Awesome. So just kind of a quick overview. The Autodesk Construction Cloud, the vision behind it is that we support you guys from conception, from pre-construction design, all the way through to O&M. So you can see we've got a bunch of products. I know a lot of you are probably familiar with our design side. That's kind of where we started. But from design all the way through our VDC and our BIM solutions, through to our model conditioning, qualifications, pre-con solutions, and then our project cost management, all the way through operations and maintenance. So we do have some integrations as well with cmBuilder. Do any of you actually leverage any of those items at all? I know there's a few here. James, I know you do. Nice, awesome. So essentially, we've got some awesome integrations with cmBuilder. You're able to import information from your models directly into cmBuilder without having to introduce any new tools. You can bring in model elements from your Revit, tools from ACC as well, like cranes, fencing, loading zones, and stuff like that from your BIM models, making things easy. You're also able to bring in any modifications that you have so that you can kind of highlight any changes that you've got within your model, bringing it into cmBuilder. But that's kind of just a quick overview of what we've got within the Autodesk Construction Cloud. I know everyone's here for the panelists, so let's bring you guys up here. Perfect. All right, we've got some amazing panelists here today. Why don't we do a quick round of intros? James, do you want to start?
James Harbin, Director of Construction Technology at JTM Construction. I've been using cmBuilder for 5-ish years, something like that. We adopted it because we wanted better site logistics plans rather than the 2D ones that were presented earlier. So, you keep that up, you know.
So I'm Matt Moore.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
It was not good.
How about now?
So I'm Matt Moore. I'm the VDC and scheduling manager at SB James. It's a smaller general contracting company based out of California. I've been there for about 4 years now. I was a more traditional superintendent at Whiting Turner for 10 years before that. So went from company nationwide, 6,000 plus employees, to employee number 20 at a company. Slight transition, but since then I've gotten out of the traditional superintendent role, started to be more in the VDC realm. So I've been building that department, and we've been employing cmBuilder for about a year now, I think.
Tyler Brown, Director of Construction at SBW. Have worked for SBW for around 10 years. I'm a lifelong superintendent. I started in 1997, which doesn't seem that long ago, but it is. I transitioned into a general superintendent, I think somewhere around 2014, and then I've spent the last 3 years as a director at SBW looking after some of our larger projects. using cmBuilders probably for, I think we're third, we're number 3.
Early adopter.
Yeah, so we've worked with the gang at cmBuilders extensively for most of our projects for a very long time.
Awesome. Tyler, while you've got the mic, I know you started out as a superintendent. Why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of the role of the construction superintendent as it is traditionally?
Well, typically they drink too much coffee and don't sleep enough, swear too much. Yeah, it's a tough job. I never really understood how tough it was until I wasn't doing it anymore. Yeah, the day-to-day constant change, constant drama, and adjudicating design issues with your subtrades, your trade partners in general. Lots of stress and very little time to deal with issues. So yeah, you don't paint a very rosy picture of the job when you're trying to get people to take up the arms in that area. It's a very rewarding job when you get to build something. Like these guys beside me, we've all built a lot of stuff. But it's a tour, it's a deployment to get something built, and there's a lot of things that happen that are that need to be we need to improvise and adapt and resolve things on your feet. And technology like this helps you do that. I think it helps you explain things quicker, and I think it helps you get the message across to people that maybe it's their third language that they're speaking, but they're very intelligent, but people like me speaking slang and acronyms. So I think it levels the playing field.
I love that. Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you feel the adaptation of technology has kind of changed has changed the role of the superintendent?
So this whole Superintendent 2.0, he's right, I did trademark that, so I get $20 every time.
Great artist borrow, or good artist borrow, great artist steal. I stole that.
And I think Tyler would be a horrible recruiter for selling the superintendent role to somebody that liken it to a deployment in the military. So yeah, Superintendent 2.0, this kind of came out of the concept of what's this new evolution of skill sets that are required for that traditional superintendent to be able to still be considered what is a good builder today. And really, the simple answer, I'll elaborate more, the simple answer is you got to be able to build from a 3D model instead of traditional 2D plans, right? You still got to be able to do everything that he just described. It is being able to understand all the subcontractor specific scopes of work. That means knowing the slang, knowing how to be a people person, know how to orient it, right? So you still have to have that. That is a mandatory part, but you also be able to employ technology. It's not just the VDC guys like Kyle has talked about, great, handing that off, right? You need to be able to live in both worlds, right? So traditionally, the superintendent, no one ever really talks about it, but I think one of the biggest skill sets of a traditional superintendent, we're talking all the way back to the beginning of time, Great Pyramids of Giza, Roman Empire, right? Designer, somebody that you're not necessarily connected to as a builder, had an idea in their head in 3D, and they put it on paper of some sort, right? 2D drawings. And a builder, a superintendent, can look at that 2D drawing and instantly see what it is in 3D, but more so importantly, know exactly where to start. All right, first I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, and then in 6 months, boom, you have your project. The difference now is that designers aren't designing it on paper first, they're designing it on the computer first. They're designing it in 3D from the moment you go. You know, all of the BIM detection, all of that, everything's designed in Revit, and then the 2D component is more of a causality, because all of our AHJs, all of our permitting process, they're not there yet. So that's a secondary effect. So then the traditional superintendent still has 2D drawings, the same ones that the AHJ had, but in reality, the true design was in the computer. So you still got to be a superintendent, but you got to be able to navigate the model to really know how all the pieces fit together. So that's kind of mine.
Awesome. Same question for you, James. How do you feel like technology has changed that typical role or even affected our industry?
I think the biggest thing is it's empowered our superintendents to be more versatile. They have so much pressure, like you said, so much stress. They put so much of their heart and soul into what they're building. At the end of the day, it's a challenge with app fatigue or anything like that. You can take on more. Hey, learn this, learn that. You got to use Procore. You got to use Build. You got to use all these different applications just to get through your day. Whether it's your clock in, safety trainings, just go down the list. So for them to consume something that's easy enough to use, but really paints out the picture that they're trying to portray, they can only do so much in 2D. They can read 2D, they can understand 2D and visualize it in 3D and know every step and the scheduling and every piece that goes into that. But sometimes to portray what they're trying to get across doesn't come across as well to a younger generation that hasn't been doing it for their whole career, that needs to see it in 3D, that understands the applications, the technology, and it just empowers them to be that much better and that much more versatile in what they do every day.
Awesome. Tyler, you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, as a communication tool, it's invaluable. We don't have the people in the industry. There's a gap in the industry. There's a bunch of people that, as we said, learn how to visualize things in 3D, and then we have a gap, and then we have people that only understand 3D. So it's about bringing those two groups together. There's a lot of experienced supers out there that technically don't need a model to build something. Everybody around them does. So they need to bridge that gap.
What do you feel like was the motivation for you to go from the traditional superintendent role to one that is more of a construction tech role?
Well, I wish I had all these tools when I was a superintendent. Is part of it. They're powerful tools. We didn't have that. We had PDF, which people are still using as a crutch. And I thought there's a lot of room for improvement. It takes a lot of the unknown out of planning, and it creates a better structure throughout the project for people to follow. So the technology, I think the whole industry that is of my age demographic was looking for this for a very, very long time.
Yeah, the new ones are definitely lucky with all of this technology out here. Matt, what's your thoughts on that?
All right, so it's a long story for me. I probably need like 3 or 4 cocktails to fully get through it all. But mine is kind of similar to what Javi talked about. A bit of luck, right? I came into the construction industry in 2010. So that's right around the same time that a lot of these technologies and softwares are obsolete anyway. And so I happened to be a carpenter through school, so I was kind of living both worlds simultaneously anyway. I had the traditional superintendent teaching me how to build, and then I had school teaching me how to employ these new technologies. So that kind of happened by dumb chance. And then opportunity struck with the previous company that I worked at. Hey, we have a really large project. We need somebody that has those skill sets to go build this team. Did that. COVID kind of changed the world, and then I found myself at a small company to build it from scratch. So it's kind of, like I said, dumb luck, but the reality of the case was that I was learning the two worlds side by side, learning the tech, how to employ it, concurrently with learning how to build from experienced superintendents. And so really, I think that's the important gap that we need to start figuring out a way to bridge more often. I happen to bridge it just coincidentally, but people generally fall into one of the two realms and don't necessarily touch the other one. Like the room here, a lot of VDC, a lot of construction tech, but didn't necessarily do 10 years in the trenches, so to speak, and then vice versa. The traditional superintendent didn't learn the tech. So trying to learn both worlds simultaneously on purpose and not on accident is the thing that we need to figure out.
Awesome. James, did you take on any sort of training or certification to become proficient in construction technology? I know you guys are, some of the biggest leaders when it comes to this. You do a great job of involving a lot of technology within the construction process, from design all the way through to VDC and BIM, glass detection, and all of that.
I did not. So I came from a land survey firm. They had a mapping side, your typical topographic mapping. They had a construction division. I worked in the construction division, and I worked with project superintendents. I would show up to the job site in a van, I'd check in with them and see what they wanted from the drawings. They never matched what we had. It was always outdated. So we had to calc stuff up out in the field, get it laid out for them, and had to learn their lingo, their slang, their everything they needed. I came over to JTM. They pulled me from the survey firm to come start a survey department. My goal there was to be orientated towards the project teams, right? They're the ones out there building the jobs. They need to be able to do it efficiently. And so I just kind of came in from that front and listened to their complaints, listened to their pain points, and said, okay, well, there's solutions for this. Google search or LinkedIn or this or that. I mean, we came on cmBuilder because we had a BDC member, one of the superintendents wanted a tower crane, and so they made a kind of transparent red rectangle, and that was the tower crane. And the superintendent said, I want a tower crane. And they said, nope. And the superintendent said, hey, check this out, I found it on LinkedIn, right? And so then the conversation started. So it was really just about trying to find applications that would work and make our project teams more successful, make their pain points less. Even though there's a little bit of pain in learning something new, the pride they take and the deliveries they can do now, it's just finding a way to make it better rather than sticking with what's always worked when everyone else is advancing. So no education in it, just hands-on, get in there and play with the software, play with the technologies until you find something that works.
What do you think are some of the more specific technologies that have impacted your projects the most, like BIM, VDC, whether it's pre-con, focusing on these 4D simulations? What are the items that have impacted your projects the most and have been appreciated and you've realized the cost effect and time effect?
VDC BIM, obviously, without a doubt, is huge. It's relatively new to JTM. It had been around. One of our vice presidents, or president now, he talks about when he had to do the light table, lay drawings over each other. Now we're looking at 3D models in a web viewer. When I was in the field, it was HP 48 calculators and Allegro, Juniper System Allegros for laying things out. Our field teams have tablets with the up-to-date 3D models. Why shouldn't our logistics plans have the same thing? So I just the evolution of it's been the last, I'd say, 10 years, just been ramping up, and anything we can do, reality capture, whether it's with drones, whether it's with SLAM units, terrestrial scanners, so we know what's inside the deck, and we bring that back in so the project engineers don't have to call ground penetrating radar companies out or x-rays. They just have the 3D data live, meshing those point clouds to be able to bring it into cmBuilder for tenant improvement spaces, things like that. Just any way we can use the technologies we have, even down to little stuff like, can we do better with radios? Can we do better with anything that's going to make that project team more powerful so that they can deliver a better product at the end of the day?
Thoughts?
Yeah, I can comment. So, kind of biased. My company is just hard and fast, don't do any hard bid projects. We solely do design build, progressive design build, IPD, at the very least design assist for schools. So for us, DDC, BIM is just an invaluable tool because it's not just here's the drawing, go build it, go estimate, go build it. It's everything that BIM and VDC is, right? As the drawings are progressing, the design is developing, we are simultaneously finding the best avenue to save money at the end of the day, right? As half of it, make the project cheaper so it exists. And then we're fully designed. Everything gets prefabbed. Almost all my jobs, every trade is prefabbing everything, so it shows up on the project site, already shop welded, shop everything, and then you just putting the Lego set together in place. So that's kind of the basis of everything, right? Superintendent 2.0, what this is called. All of that was done ahead of time, and then the Lego set shows up. You got to be able to read the instruction booklet. So the instruction booklet happens to be VDC, whatever software platform you happen to use. If it's not Autodesk, it's okay.
Tyler, what do you feel like are some of the biggest challenges that you're currently seeing or being faced within the industry?
Well, locally here, I think design quality.
Got quiet. Got quiet.
Yeah, I think over the years, that's what I've noticed the most. And I think it's not, as a general contractor or construction manager, I think you always try to tell yourself that you have a good design, but you don't know until you try to build it. So I think design quality is the number one issue here. And I think site quality or actual quality is probably the second issue. And I think that stuff all goes hand in hand with having a poor design and then having a poor execution. So yeah, having technology to virtually twin and or model as a generic word and have your subtrades prefab and sort out those design quality issues before they actually build something. This is all deeper stick with next stuff. But it's actually becoming a necessity rather than an option. I think it was an option for many years. Still had lots of clients, owners that didn't want to pay for it. We had lots of consultants that were selling BIM, but you couldn't build from it. So yeah, I think the issues in the industry, at least in my opinion, is that we're going to have some seriously long schedule extensions on some of these larger projects, which all equal more money, whether it comes out of your pocket or somebody else's. And I think that's because the quality and the rework that needs to be done along the journey is a direct equation from the design has been getting pretty bad for the most part. So that's what I think our challenges are. There's a whole bunch of contractual things, but nobody in this room wants to get out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I 100% agree with you. We always say all the good sites have been built, and the design time, the money spent on it. You're right, the drawings aren't there, but I think with the proper effort in estimating, pre-con, all of that, and planning, we can mitigate a lot of that for the client as the general contractor, and try to come in again with a better product, a better deliverable. And there might be some costs associated with it, but at least it's upfront. And with our BIM teams, we're able to say, hey, look, we know that it's not going to work. And when they sit down with the superintendents and the project managers, so you have the money and the brain power behind building it. When the team sits down and collaborates, whether it's early on or it's during construction, they're able to come up with a plan that they can address earlier and support that client without a big sticker shock when it happens. They can build up for it. They can make changes higher up to deal with costs, things like that by coordinating the job earlier. So,
Where do you see a role for technology in solving all the problems that you just mentioned right now?
I tell everyone at JTN, there's no perfect software, but there's solutions.
Let's brainstorm. Sounds like money.
Exactly. There is no perfect software. There's no perfect solution for everything. And so I think the big thing is just being open-minded and trying things, willing to take risks, and building in some padding just in case, but take those chances, take the risks, and the opportunity there is to be better, to constantly be better by taking a risk, by trying new technology, sometimes trying two at once. We have project team members. Some of them are more open to change. Some of them are old dogs that don't want to learn new tricks until they realize it's easier. Then they adopt it immediately. But I think a big part of it is probably just taking the time to evaluate it and say what's a solution out there, and collaborating with other industry professionals, the people that are in this room, right? Maybe Tyler's gone through something that I'm about to go through or that I'm up against, and if I have that network of people that I can reach out to, I know I can find a solution. We were looking at mass timber jobs, and I reached out to Harbin and I said, hey, I know you guys have done a lot of stuff with people that do mass timber. Do you have any connections? And he was able to send a couple connections my way. Just having that network of people that you can reach out to, I can't be proficient in everything. I would fail at most things. And so leaning on my peers that have already been there, that have already done it, it's great. I mean, we might compete as companies on jobs, but we don't compete and try trying to support our team members, you know, so.
Comments on that last question? Thoughts?
Real small comment would be for companies as a whole to not be scared, so to speak, to abandon a previous technology solution that was working and try something new, right? Usually it's a cost thing. We invested this much money in this platform and we're using it everywhere, so we're just going to keep using it, even though, yes, you just gave me a great presentation that says this one's better. That's been a hurdle, right? So being able to evolve as a company, as the technology is evolving and changing, that I think is a big factor.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that actually. Before joining Autodesk, I worked as a VDC specialist and I used to evaluate all the products, try to implement it, and one of the hardest things that I came to realize was there was literally FOMO about leaving behind processes and technologies that we've used for like 15 years. I don't know why, but there's always FOMO there, but interesting, I like that.
Well, to add to it, obviously the cost, right? That's always the bigger hurdle with that is we've invested this much time, money, and as software gets more expensive, you know, we're signing 3-year contracts, right? So we can lock in a price. And then what? You know, something better comes out. It's technology, so it's constantly getting better, right? And all of a sudden, Autodesk comes up and they're like, hey, we're better now. You know, you should come back over here. And it's like, well, that's a no-brainer, right? Okay, yeah, it is better. But how do you step away from a contract? Well, it's easy. You start implementing it on a small scale and start building it, and eventually you can make that transition, or you can say, hey, I've got a collaborative team. Let's use it on one job. Let's do a trial of it. And if it is that much better, and it saves that much time and pain for the people out there using it, then it makes sense to make that swap, even if there's, you know, a small financial impact. But just showing that, you know, that's where the value is. If I try to go to my boss and say, hey, I want this software because it makes me better, it better make me real good for them to want to just shell out the money without evaluating it. But if I say, hey, it's going to save time and energy for all of our project team members that are out in the field every day, it's usually just okay, where do I sign? You know, if it truly is going to make them more efficient, make their lives easier, it's a lot easier of a conversation to be had. So looking at it that way and addressing it helps a lot. So.
Looking to the future, what emerging technologies do you believe will shape the future of construction? Like you mentioned, you've been in construction for quite some time now. And what is the future?
Should I just say AI?
But yeah, what do you feel like the future of a construction site looks like?
Well, I mean, getting these old superintendents to adopt the new technologies, I think is the most difficult part, because you can have the best technologies around, and if you don't have any way to deploy them, then you're nowhere. So I think the future is making it more user-friendly for a lot of these guys and gals. I think for sure artificial intelligence will help, whether it's 10 years from now that the construction industry somehow figures out how to use it. There's a lot of data mining, as everybody in this room knows, so I think that will help. I think historically, the construction industry has been very poor at historical data and being able to use that in somewhere down the road on something very similar. So I think that the technology will help immensely in those areas.
Okay, Matt, what do you think?
I got two, but I'll just say one so I don't steal James's thunder on accident. Personal, near and dear to my heart, and Kyle touched on it, augmented reality. So it was my senior project in college, 2012, so in 12 years it hasn't developed as much as I would have liked. But there's still hope for it. But just that general concept, like there's been a hand, Google Glass, as an example, put the glasses on and you're blending the real world that you're seeing in the BIM model at the same time. I truly think that there is a future for that, right? So an inspector, so to speak, works for the state, city, county, whatever it may be, comes out, doesn't need to go reference the 2D plans. Is this where it's supposed to be? And then all they gotta look at is the weld correct and the weld's correct, right? I do think that augmented reality does have a future that will totally change everything. That's just one example of the inspector. It goes all the way down to the install level. You don't need to necessarily reference plans anymore. You can see the digital environment as it's being constructed. So.
Absolutely. We, on use Argyle. They have an ACC plugin. We can bring our Revit models right in. We can see it out in the field. Absolutely works great. We implement it. We use it. We have foremen doing like hardscape layout, benches, things that a little bit of tolerance and a drift, things like that you deal with augmented reality, but they're out there with a laser pointer and they got someone making marks. Quick tape check and they're forming up a bench. It's not having a crew come out there, lay it out. They're not having to reference grid lines. Robotics, we saw HP in one of the slides, robotic layout, SLAM units, drone deployed, wherever you guys are, doing awesome stuff. Obviously cmBuilder constantly getting better. I think all of it's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow, and while still teaching the existing superintendent new tricks, the next generation of superintendents, really, the Superintendent 2.0 coming in, letting them learn from those existing superintendents, but also teaching them, they want to learn this technology, they want to use it. They've grown up with technology, so why not allow them to continue to use it? We've turned cmBuilder loose on some of our new superintendents, and we barely spent any time with them, like you said. They just built this awesome. They said, oh, you can bring in a mesh. Yep, all right, cool, we meshed the point cloud, here you go. They did everything. We didn't have to touch it. And I just, as people realize that it's there for them to use, because in the past it was so divided. There was someone in the office that did BIM VDC, and then that was it. They got some shop drawings out to the field. That was the end of it. As these platforms are becoming more available and people are realizing that they're for them to be better, they tend to just adopt it because, pride. They take a lot of pride in their job. There's a little bit of maturity that goes with it, ego, whatever you want to call it, that they want to be the best, and so having the tools in front of them for them to continuously get better. Anything out there that we can adopt to make construction 3D printing, going that way. They're doing concrete printing, they're doing all this stuff. Is it going to be more accurate? Probably, if it's constrained. If we have all these tools. So as we continue to innovate with the existing tools and new ones are built, the projects are only going to get more efficient, more powerful users out there in the field.
Thank you so much, guys. Let's give,
I can work on Q&A.
yeah,
Perfect. Any questions?
any questions?
Oh, I'll go back. By the way, every time we say Superintendent 2.0, we gotta interact, send money to Matt here. He's making a killing up for that trademark. Making a killing.
Lots of
I think we should get a hat, like a Superintendent 2.0 hat, or sticker from hard hat. I was just curious, how do you guys feel like, I feel like a big challenge is like the gap of young superintendents coming into the industry, and obviously older superintendents kind of on their way out. Like, what are some things that you've seen that really bridge that gap between older superintendents to the younger with like tools like cmBuilder or other ones that you've seen kind of be successful?
I think a lot of it's getting the older superintendents to start to adopt it. I wouldn't expect them to immediately pick it up, dive into it. Again, when I started in construction, you'd go to job sites and there'd be cardboard cut out that they hand painted at home in their spare time, 3D plans with little, Hot Wheels and Tonka and nothing to scale. And so just getting them to adopt it and preach how good it is. The younger group they're their mentors. That's who they look up to. And so when they're preaching that it's a powerful tool, they're going to want to be better, right? They want to one-up their mentor. They want to be the best. And so they're going to adopt it. They're going to dig into it. They're going to come to you on the side and say, hey, can you show me how to use this? Justin was saying how great it was. I want to know how to use it. They want to impress their superiors. They want the opportunity to move up as quick as possible. So putting that out in front of them and getting the more senior group to see the value in it and preach the value in it, even if they're not super users, but getting them to preach the value will get that younger group to buy in.
So I had luxury of working on a number of projects with amazing superintendents, but it was honestly their swan song. It was going to be their last project, right? They can build anything in the world, but this is their last project. They're going to retire after this. And they're all dogs. You're not going to teach them a new thing. They're just not. But the thing is, though, is that we can mutually benefit from each other. You tell me what you're trying to do and say, I will blindly press the buttons, but I'm a sponge. I'm just soaking this all up in the background. So not to say that some older gentlemen are lost causes. My father's a lost cause, I'll say that. But knowing which superintendents have this wealth of knowledge where it is harder to teach them the VDC world than obviously what they already know. And then on the contrary, the younger guys coming out of college, it's much easier to teach them the new construction technology than it is to have them absorb this wealth of in the field knowledge. But you can pair those two people up directly, have them physically, if needed, chained to each other so that way they're going throughout their day together, and I am teaching you how to turn on your computers, sometimes I think, how to use this technology. At the same time, as I'm teaching you how to use the technology, you are teaching me how to build, right? Being able to import a crane and position it into a place is one thing, but knowing what's the best place to put it on the site based on how they're going to offload all the steel off the truck and shake everything out, that's a thing that's harder to teach. So it can be mutually beneficial in both directions.
What they said. Yeah, no, I think, part of explaining to your senior superintendents that they need to lead by example is a big part of it too. Just because they don't want to learn how to use it doesn't mean that they shouldn't learn at least the basics, because the people working for them are going to be using it. So I think there's a bit of a discussion I think that has to happen with the superintendents and make them understand that it's not so important that they become experts at it, but they need to adopt it.
Next question there.
Yeah, I'm finding like when I show this product to supers, like this is amazing, this will be great. I'm just slammed, I'm in the weeds on this current project. But when things slow down, I'll definitely reach out to you. Yeah. Any advice on how to manage that with supers when they're constantly putting out fires?
Yeah, we've sent supers home to figure it out in the past. So I think that's a manager thing. It's easy for all of them to say that. I've heard that 100 times. But I think we've got to complacent as managers. If it's an important technology or an important tool, they need to go learn it, and you can't learn it at work. So they know that, and so they're using that as a crutch. So we've sent them home to learn how to use it, or sent them back to the head office to learn how to use it.
So stick, not carrot.
Yes, stick, because that's the world they're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, the care at a smaller company, we don't have the luxury of sending them home. Our superintendents have to schedule when they're going to be sick because they can't just arbitrarily become sick. But the thing that we've done is what both Ben and Kyle alluded to earlier, as far as setting up the cmBuilder site, setting up the scenario for him, doing that kind of more, you got to have more intimate knowledge, and then getting it 3/4 of the way there to where then it's an easier transition. Now it's more of a video game. Where do you want to put the truck? Where do you want to load it? So that way it's kind of an easier transition, because they are spent. You're going to get a short attention span window, but if you do all the work and you make it fun for them in the beginning, then they'll start asking you questions and they'll start wanting to know a little bit more. But yeah, I deal with it all the time. I don't have time to learn that new thing, and it's like, well, give me 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden they're in it, and they're no longer paying attention to the construction site because they're doing that. So that's what we've had success with, at least.
Yeah, I started out the same way. I was doing all of them, and there's only so much time in the day. I can't devote all my time to doing cmBuilder logistics plans. And so, and I get it. If you got a schedule with 10,000 items on it, you are pretty busy. You spend 3 years working on that job just to get to the busiest part of it at the tail end. But I think the big thing where we're at now is, I set up the project, I set up the scenario, I import the Revit model, and maybe put a couple of the units in there, maybe import their schedule. But as of lately, again, they've been adopting more and more. They're getting excited about it, they're taking pride in it, and they're bringing in their own schedules. They're really tying resources, things like that. Stuff that I used to have to do in the past. Again, I just get a crummy 2D PDF that looked like some of them were rough. And there was times where I would just do a horrible job in cmBuilder and throw it back at them and be like, is this what you wanted? That's what you gave me. I'm not a magician. And so just getting them to engage. And again, yeah, once they see it's easy and it's kind of fun to do, they start getting excited and they start taking pride in it and they just start absorbing it.
Maybe one more question, time for one more. Yeah.
You guys touched on the willingness to try new software and try new things. Just curious with with everything that there is out there, if you guys can talk about your process and how you go about deciding what you're trying, and is it intentional? Is it like, hey, we have this problem, let's find something like that, or are you guys taking this like all the sales calls in and say, hey, try us, because that's I'm a similar role to a lot of you guys. That's one of the things I struggle with. It's everyone wants you to see their product, but you've also got internal things. So I'm just curious how you guys go about that.
I think there's the part where yes, we are looking for solutions to certain things. So there's an active search going on, but absolutely between LinkedIn and everything else, just the amount of resources that you get thrown at you. I try to take a little bit of time every day and just look at them. Some of them I bookmark, some of them I ignore, but take the time to at least take a look. Because a week from then, when you're in a meeting, someone can bring up a pain point and you're like, there might be a solution for that. Or, hey, did you see what Autodesk just did? They just came out with this option or this feature or, whatever it is. And you have that in the back of your head. Don't be afraid to talk to them and do some demos, set up 30 minutes a week and pick one that you think is promising and take a look at it. But I try not to turn anything away. But I mean, you can't have every platform that's out there. So, our bosses always say we're not a tech company, we're a construction company. So again, if it provides value for the construction company, then that technology is probably worth evaluating at least. And don't be afraid to look at what your competitors of the current softwares you have out at the time when your renewal comes up. Just shop around, take a look. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they want you to buy their software, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your company and just take a look at it, evaluate it, and do a demo. So.
Yeah, everything you said, and then I found that most of the companies are pretty willing to give you a trial version of it for one project, right? We got to try it, right? We have to sell it to somebody above us that's going to ultimately write the check. And pretty much across the board, all the companies are willing to do that. And yeah, do the initial Teams or Zoom call, have them do their pitch. You can roll out a lot just on that right off the bat. And then when you narrow it down, take it a step further, try the trial, try it on a small project. Don't employ it on a $1 billion customer project, small, whatever applies to you. And try to do more than one. Don't just commit to, although we did just commit to you just right off the bat, and I didn't commit, but I'm pretty sure Harbin just saw me air, so that worked out well. Try multiple, I got some lined up with drone deploy. Our company has a need, we're gonna start deploying, drones, but what's the right software? I wanna see both of them. Give me your spiel, can we do a trial version of it, and then, pull the trigger on one of them.
Yeah, I don't have anything more to add. There's so many out there, it's mind-boggling to try to figure out which ones work and which ones don't. They all look like they work on LinkedIn. It's a bit of trial and error, I think, and a lot of error.
All right, I think we can wrap it there. Oh, there's one more, James.
Yeah, just
coming in hot.
Sorry. Some of the big successes I've had with finding new solutions is some of the smaller companies. The one I mentioned, Argyle used for augmented reality. They still call themselves Beta, right? And it's like this. We've been using it for 2 years. It's a phenomenal product, but they're very small, right? So starting there and getting a collaboration and a partnership with somebody really benefits you. It's easy to reach out to Javi or to the folks over there at Argyle. A lot harder to reach out to Autodesk and say, hey, can you tweak this for me?
We try.
They do. It's but a lot easier when there's 5 employees at a company to get them to listen and collaborate and things like that. Not that Autodesk won't, sorry, just using this example, but it's a lot easier to reach out to those smaller companies when you're trying to do something, trying to make it better for your project teams, when they really like something, but they want to see a small change. You know, hey, I like the forklift in cmBuilder, it's cool, but can you make it blue like the ones we use? Yeah, let me send an email, you know, then boom, we got a blue forklift, right, then they're happy. But just finding smaller companies sometimes, a lot of times at the conferences, things like that, you'll find them with a small booth in the corner. You know, they're putting their money where their mouth is to get out there in front of people and just taking the time to talk to them. So.
All right, let's wrap it there. A round of applause. Good job.